Hey, I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Rugby Informer. I just thought I'd give some thoughts on the Springboks victory over the Wallabies down in Brisbane for the opening match of the Rugby Championship. So I'm sure most people were backing the Springboks for a win in that game. And even though it was away from home against the Wallabies side with a good new coaching staff, I think that scoreline way outweighed or exceeded what anyone was expecting the Springboks to do. And just diving into the game, there were some things that stood out to me. First and foremost, the speed and pace that the Springboks came out the gates with was very impressive. They were playing fast, fluid, flowing rugby and really using the width of the field, getting right into those outside channels with Pieter-Steph du Toit and Etzebeth finding space down on the respective flanks. And working with the wingers on the inside of them, which is quite interesting to see. Clearly that Tony Brown influence is coming more and more into the forefront. You're seeing a lot of the interplay between the backs and forwards in those wider channels and keeping it tight and neat in the middle with the pods that are being set up at the moment. And a shout out must still go to Rassie Erasmus, who keeps on innovating and reinventing the wheel even when it seems like World Rugby or the laws are trying to kind of box the Springboks style of play in. And the first sign of that was that line out that took place early in the game where the Springboks kind of pulled off this trick play line out, which was very impressive and actually resulted in the first try. You know, usually where they would throw to the front jumper or back jumper or middle jumper of the line out, the Springbok line out kind of broke into two pods with the ball going to the back of the line out, then being popped in a clean backwards pass to the front, going down to the ground and then mauling over for the try, which was a genius play because it actually tricked the Wallabies defenders into thinking that the maul was going to take place at the back of the lineout. Then they quickly transitioned the ball to the front and maul from there. And even though some of the Wallabies forwards picked up what was happening, you could tell by their body language and their eyesight on the ball, it was a little too late. It was a great play by the Springbok forward pack, very smart decision making and very smart tactical, sneaky move that actually resulted in a try. So props must be given to the coaching staff, even when it seems like the innovations are going to come in different parts of the game, you know, perhaps the substitutions or the bomb squad or, you know, other areas that the Springbok coaching staff are trying to innovate and add interesting little tricks up their sleeve. The line out was an area where maybe people didn't think anything unusual, unorthodox was going to take place there. So again, Rassie Erasmus and his team are just keeping everyone on their toes, and you can see that these kind of innovations and variations of the usual kind of setup that we often see in rugby teams is still happening and taking place at different parts of the game. You know, we saw a little bit later there was a scrum where Ches and Colby stepped in at scrum half with Kobus Reinach moving into kind of the midfield or kind of like first receiver midfield area. And it did look like that move, they didn't really execute what they were planning. You know, Colby kind of threw a dummy and took it into contact, but something was happening there. So it seems like there's still a few little tricks up the sleeve that are being tested and trialed out. And obviously most of them are not always going to come off, but the fact that they're there and they're willing to try them in a test match of this magnitude is really admirable and really exciting to see, because it just shows that the Springbok game plan is evolving, is continuing to evolve, and still finding areas of the game that can be changed and looked at differently rather than just going with the same formula and then trying to do some variations with a backline move or something like that. They're actually trying to reinvent kind of the set piece scenarios and how those actually take place, which is really, really exciting to see. And the Boks were playing a very expansive, ambitious game and backing their handling skills. I mean, there were some fantastic short little passes from Feinberg and Gumazulu and Billy LaRue and Jesse Creel flicking the ball, getting it under the arms of defenders. It really shows that they're backing their skill set and their handling skills. And while there maybe were a few more handling errors, you know, in the stat sheet at the end of the day, that's just part and parcel of playing a game like that. You know, I think the All Blacks in years gone by have embraced this error rate that, you know, with that style of passing or ambitious wide playing, there's going to be knock-ons or there's going to be missed passes or the potential forward pass. But I think South African rugby needs to embrace that style of play because it's a great complementary element to this power game that they play with their forwards. So expect a few loose passes, expect some missed passes or missed timing. I think it comes with the the nature of that style. And it's just fantastic to see the Boks backing their ability and backing their speed when they get the space. And Sasha Feinberg and Ngumazulu looked really good at fly half for his first start. He did miss his first kick, and I think he missed touch a little bit later in the game with a penalty kick. But barring that, I mean, he looked fantastic. He looked comfortable at test level, was attacking when he needed to attack, he was making some big tackles, and had a fantastic line break that almost resulted in a try. And something that complemented his game, it was really good to see Willie le Roux stepping in at first receiver again. You know, he seemed to play that kind of alternate first playmaker role in years gone by, and subsequently when he really grew into his fullback position, he kind of stayed at the back and dealt with the high kicks and more tactical kicking. But seeing Willie step into fly half was really great to see. You know, he was taking the ball flat on the line, delivering wide cutout passes that were putting the outside backs into space. And then Sasha Feinberg and Ngumazulu would, slot into fullback when he needed to. So having this kind of like dual playmaker alternating role was really exciting to see, and it keeps the defense on their toes, as you don't really know if the Springboks are going to attack left or right. You know, they were using the blind and open side really well. So very exciting again, and giving guys like Willie le Roux the chance to play what he sees. And despite his age and people think he's been around the block, there's no one that sees space and the field quite like Willie does. I think a little bit of praise does need to go to the Aussies. While they were on the receiving end of quite a score line, I thought they put in quite a spirited effort. And I mean, that was a relatively inexperienced side. You know, a couple of those guys do have quite a few Wallabies caps, but there was a few guys making their debut that I thought played really well. You know, they fought hard right until the end of the game, and did get kind of a redemption try to keep the score from being completely zero. It was a little underwhelming and a little bit disappointing for the Wallabies, I'm sure, to get a full packed Suncorp Stadium. You know, the Wallabies are on the cusp of some sort of redemption arc, or I think everyone kind of wants them to play well, or at least real rugby purist fans and Rugby Championship and Tri-Nations fans want to see a strong Australian side, because when they're strong, the Springboks are strong, the All Blacks are strong, and so is Argentina, and it makes for a great competition. But it wasn't to be for them. But I do think there's some positives with the Wallabies. There was a little bit more structure with their attack. They were pouncing on opportunities, and it was, again, just a testament to the Springbok defense that was really solid when things were set up structured, and when it got a little bit loose, such as when the Wallabies picked off an intercept from a Kobus Reinach pass. The scramble defense was amazing, and the Boks were able to spoil the party for the Wallabies, in the dying moments. So not the best start for the Wallabies. I'm sure they'll be very disappointed. I'm sure Joe Schmidt expected a lot more, but I think it was a combination of a bit of a underwhelming Wallabies performance and a really good Bok performance. And hopefully it sets both the teams on positive trajectories. You know, the Wallabies hopefully improve from here on out, and the Springboks hopefully continue to evolve this game that they're playing, because it's quite unpredictable at the moment, and it's quite exciting to just see the kind of tricks and the new twists that Rassie Erasmus and his team come up with. So very happy, it's looking positive, and let's see what the Boks do next week. In the meantime, let us know what you think. Comment down below, give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit like, all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one.